a warm welcome here in our studio in Serekunda. This is Star TV News with me, Maimuna Fadera. In the headlines tonight, make civil service respectable, trustworthy president urges new SG deputy. Finance Ministry and UNDP validate COVID-19 impact study. State House Director of Press sets light on the appointment of new Secretary General, gay rights and the draft constitution on the international scene. Senegal police crackdown on anti-lockdown protesters. Vaccines Alliance raised $8.8 billion for global immunization plans. Foreign airlines to resume flights to China. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in details. His Excellency the President Adam Barrow has urged the newly appointed Secretary General and the Deputy Secretary General to work as a unified team to make the civil service respectable, trustworthy and the envy of those who have regard for professionalism, efficiency and dedication to national development. Well, Matasengo reports.
President Barrow said the appointment and swearing of the new Secretary General and head of the civil service, the Deputy Secretary General and Permanent Secretary are a result of the government's desire to strengthen the civil service and the sectors for the attainment of national goals and aspirations. The Gambian leader said these two are important portfolios, especially in relation to the office of the President and the civil service. He further expressed hope that the appointments will continue significantly to improving government's machinery and operations, in accordance with the legal and governance framework that guides service delivery in the country. He was presiding over the swearing ceremony of the two civil servants and a permanent secretary. Mr. Noah Toure was appointed last week when Mr. Mohamed Jallo retired at the age of 60. Ms. Salimati Toure was appointed 3 weeks ago as Deputy Secretary General and Head of Civil Service, while Mr. Liu Moses is elevated from Deputy Secretary General to Permanent Secretary. The trio took the oath of allegiance, execution of duties and secrecy at the State House June 4, 2020. President Barrow thanked them for accepting these appointments and wished them success in their assignments. To the Permanent Secretary, the President said they are cardinal professional pillar of the ministry. He urged them to work towards building the system and subsystems that the government so desire to institute.
Your ability to draw together your team, recognizing the strength in each member and supporting one another is the surest path to success in your institution. Work towards building the system and subsystems we so desire to institute. Be professional and serve the country without fear or favor, but be tactful, strategic, and devoted to duty in the interest of the Gambian nation.
Your ability to draw together your team, recognizing the strength in each member and supporting one another, is the sure path to success in your institution. Be professional and serve the country without fear or favor, but be tactful, strategic, and devoted to duty in the interest of the Gambian nation, he told them. Government continues to strive for enhanced institutional and legal reforms to achieve the national development goals. President Barrow said he is committed to leaving a legacy of sustained institution with the required system, laws, and mechanisms to guide and solidify the workforce and develop the right attitude to work. Speaking on behalf of the sworn officials, Secretary General Mr. Noah Toure thanked the President for reposing the confidence in them to serve the government.
We are okay with the government's development objectives for the country, which are already clearly outlined in the National Development Plan, and we shall work relentlessly towards achieving these objectives. These are very noble objectives, and Your Excellency, please be assured we will do all that is possible to realize them.
We are committed to working to achieve these noble objectives in the National Development Plan, he said, soliciting support for the Cabinet and the entire civil service for a successful tenure. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Mati Senghor.
The Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, on Thursday concluded a virtual validation exercise of a study that assesses the impact of COVID-19 on lives and livelihood in the Gambia. The study explores the immediate, medium, and long-term socio-economic impact of the pandemic and offers recommendations to mitigate the negative effects. Jacqueline Colley files in this report.
Addressing the virtual audience that included the resident representative of the UNDP in the Gambia, the National Assembly members, the private sector, and members of the civil society organizations, Honorable Mambour Njai said the pandemic has a negative socio-economic impact on the population. It has negatively impacted employment, incomes, and food security for many people in the society. It has led to a contraction in government revenues and will lead to a reduction in economic growth compared to our projection for this year, he said, stressing that the impact of the pandemic is multidimensional. The minister assured that the report will inform the response and recovery strategies of the ministry and the government as a whole, a process he said will require the active involvement of development partners, private sector, civil society, and the citizenry. Jacqueline Colley, reporting for Star TV News.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Adam Ajimba Job, confirmed to Star TV in an interview on Thursday that all upper basic schools will be reopened next week with strict and preventive measures against the COVID-19 from both the ministry and school authorities. All grade 9s are scheduled to start learning in the course of next week. Our colleague reports.
According to the Deputy Permanent Secretary, they've been working on this reopening of schools for a very long time, and they have come to a conclusion after some thorough thinking. They've also been working tirelessly in making sure that these classes be held in a conducive and safe environment, following all the WHO guidelines. There will be no overcrowded classrooms, so they will be able to observe the social distancing as per the prevention measures necessary in gatherings.
Exactly that's what they're going to do. The 5. So one class which was 50 now become 2 classes. And that is how it is going to be in the school. So they will use all the classrooms that are in the school. That's why we have engaged them many weeks ago to find out whether that is feasible or not. And they said it's feasible. Our concern was schools like Carnarvon East, where you have the grade 9s and the grade 12s. And that's why we said, let's start with the grade 9s and see what will happen for 2 weeks or so. And they all have confirmed to us that it's possible to maintain the social distancing so that children are sitting as if they are writing the exams, 1 to a table, 20 in a class, and nothing more.
He also went further to explain that they will not only observe social distancing in classrooms, but they will also provide them with masks and sanitizers. Their focus will not only be on the students, but also the teachers as well as the vendors, and also all the other school authorities students will have contact with, assuring the general public that health personnel will be regularly visiting the schools, and teachers will also be given a mild training on how they medically take care of their students in case they have any problems.
So that's why I said our teachers will be supported and trained to do the basic things that they can say, yeah, we are worried. Then allow the administration, we get to the nearest medical personnel that is available. But equally, we will appeal that they will be once in a while visiting the schools. You know, they're not going to stay there. To ask them to station there is asking for too much.
He also wants to assure the public that they will never take any decisions that will be to the detriment of their children, taking reference with the fact that COVID is here to stay with us, and so we cannot just suspend all our life activities, but rather try to fight and contain it and continue with our daily activities, including learning. In order for our educational curriculum to remain the same, we need to continue with schools, Deputy Permanent Secretary Job said. They are hopeful that this reopening of schools will be a success because they will follow all the COVID-19 guidelines given by the WHO. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Awokoli.
The Director of Press at the Office of the President, Ami Bojang Sisaho, in an interview with Star TV on Thursday, has shed light on issues relating to the appointment of a new Secretary General, gay rights, and the new draft constitution presented to President Adama Barrow by the CRC. Maria Madam files in this report.
President Adama Barrow has appointed Nuha Toure as the country's new Secretary General and Head of Civil Service. He replaced Mohamed B.S. Jallow, who spent only 9 months in the post. Mr. Toure served as Cabinet Secretary during the Jammeh's regime. His appointment came 2 days after Eid al-Fitr prayer as Muslims celebrated the day under lockdown restrictions. However, many Gambians on social media have criticized the appointment and accused the Barrow administration of cozying up to close associates of former President Yahya Jammeh. Mr. Toure was one of the close associates of Jammeh accused of corruption by the Jammeh Commission of Inquiry. The commission, which probed the financial dealings of Jammeh and his close associates, found Mr. Toure and dozens of other people of corrupt practices in the handling of public funds. Defending the president's decisions, Amibojan Sissoho said the president appointed Noha Toure based on his experience working at the office of the president and well-versed in the operations as well as the knowledge and exposure he has. Bojan stressed that the government is not going to appoint people just because they worked under the former regime.
I understand the frustration of some people who feel that those prominent officials who have worked under the former regime should not work under this regime. Well, that is an opinion. It can differ from other opinions. Others may say, okay, these are all Gambians. These are people who have experience and they can work with the government. So why not give them the opportunity to work for the government and serve the nation? These are views that may differ from one person to the other, but what is important is work and performance, and that is what we are looking out for.
Meanwhile, Ami also reacted to EU's ambassador to the Gambia, Atela Lajo's statement on the gay rights issue, saying that she understands his perspective as she is also a human rights activist.
That is, you see, my reaction. As an individual, I understand where the EU guy is coming from, because I'm a human rights activist. I understand that he was talking from a human rights perspective. But what I do not understand is how people concorded that the EU gives money to the president and the government so that gay rights will be promoted. I think that's a very wrong perception. It's a wrong information. It's a misinformation. It's not factual. That is not true. EU cannot give support to the Gambia based on the rights of gays and lesbians. Every country has your values, have your customs, and they have things that they look out for and they respect in our relationship as human beings. It is the nature of people who want to practice that type of life. That is their personal life. That has nothing to do with support coming from EU to the Gambia or the Gambia's partnership with EU.
The European Union ambassador and head of delegation to the Gambia, Atela Lajos, has come under heavy criticisms for suggesting that the Gambia should unban homosexuality in the country, as the 1997 constitution entrenches the right of every Gambian, regardless of sexual orientation. The Gambia is predominantly of Muslim and Christian faiths, both of which prohibit homosexuality. Engaging in such act in the Gambia is also a criminal offense. The EU rep made the call in tweets under the EU in the Gambia Twitter handle, much to the anger of some Gambians. But the director of press at the office of the president said Barrow has never discussed with the EU ambassador to anything related to gay rights.
The president has never, in private or public, discussed with the EU ambassador anything dealing with the issue of gays and lesbians. Not in private, not in public. It has never happened. I can also assure you that as far as I know, the government under the leadership of President Adama Barrow has never sent any official to have a private discussion or a public discussion with the EU ambassador on issues of gays and lesbians. It has never happened. That I can assure you.
The Constitutional Review Commission in March this year submitted the final draft constitution to President Adama Barrow. This draft constitution, however, has come under some serious criticisms. Notable among them is Sehu Mbalo, Deputy Presidential Youth Advisor. Sehu Mbalo has accused the chairman of Gambia's Constitutional Review Commission, Justice Cherno Suleiman Jallow, and his staff of wasting taxpayers' money in millions of dollars, only for Jallow and co. to present what he called a rubbish and discriminatory draft constitution to the Gambian leader, President Adama Barrow. According to Mbalo, President Barrow's current 5-year mandate shouldn't be included in the draft constitution. He alleged that the draft constitution have been tailor-made to hijack Barrow's constitutionally deserved mandate. Mamadou Sabali on Monday on Star FM TV Suñu Réew program accused the CRC of targeting President Adama Barrow and went on to tear apart the draft constitution. Adding her voice to the ongoing criticisms, Ami Bojang Sissoho said the final draft constitution of the Gambia is supposed to be for the people and their interests and be a visionary one that should not be tagged to individuals.
Because we have to remember that if we tag any document, especially a national document like the constitution, to an individual's situation, like in the case of the presidency, people are saying that the constitution should start from 2016. That means I'm not a lawyer, but I have never had laws being prepared and they are retrogressive. I've never had that, and I've never seen it happen. What I expect is the laws, if people agree to it, should start at the time it has been voted in. And once that is done, then the issues that have been put there, for me, I see it as a balancing act. But that balancing act should be realistic. Because when you are in governance and when you are not in government, they are two different things. What you see when you are outside, when you come in, they are two different things. But also you have to realize that when we talk about the constitution, it is meant to create a balance. Because of the experience the Gambia has gone through, it has traumatized a lot of people that the executive was using excessive powers. So what can we do to mellow down that power? I think that's the attempt that was being done. But at the same time, they have to look at it in a realistic way, and Gambians in general should look at it in a realistic way. If, for the example, you have a situation where people are involved in trying to always pull you back because of the laws we have, then how are we going to progress as a nation? Yes, President Barrow may be president right now, but what about if President Barrow is no longer president and you are the president? Is that how you want to operate? We should be visionary, and I think people should reflect a lot and see where we have challenges and review them, and we work towards what will make the Gambia better for a long time, because the purpose of the constitution should not be every regime comes and change it. No.
Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
And we now look at the news beyond our borders. Police in Senegal have fired tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters demanding an end to coronavirus restrictions. While the country appears to be containing the spread of the virus, people fear it will lead to them going hungry instead. Al Jazeera's Nicholas Haig has more from the capital, Dakar.
Fire rubber bullets at protesters demanding action to address water and food shortages.
The Vaccines Alliance have raised $8.8 billion for global immunization plans, exceeding its target. Gavi is raising the money to restart routine immunizations for preventable diseases in Africa and Southeast Asia. The immunization have been put on hold due to the coronavirus crisis, putting millions of children at risk. Al Jazeera's Charlie Angelo has more.
But since the coronavirus outbreak, many countries have suspended their immunization programs, putting 80 million babies at risk. Preventable diseases like measles, polio.
From Monday, foreign airlines can once again fly into China. Beijing have refused to let American passengers flights due to the coronavirus pandemic, but the easing of restrictions follows an announcement by the U.S. that it is banning all Chinese airlines starting from June 16. Al Jazeera's Catherine Yu reports from Beijing.
Pandemic, it's largely been quiet, fearing imported coronavirus cases.
And before we end the news, a couple of our main headlines. Make civil service respectable, trustworthy president urges new SG deputy. Finance Ministry and UNDP validate COVID-19 impact study. State House Director of Press shed light on the appointment of new Secretary General, gay rights and the draft constitution. Senegal police crackdown on anti-lockdown protesters. Vaccines Alliance raises $8.8 billion for global immunization plans. Foreign airlines to resume flights to China. Well, that's all for this edition of the news. Please do enjoy the rest of our programs and join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for watching and bye.